How's it going, guys? And welcome to What If Naruto Was Raised by the Sage of Six Paths, Part 10. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait, didn't you already make a Part 10? And yeah, I did, and I deleted it because, let's be honest, I wasn't happy with it, and if any of you have watched it, you could probably tell I wasn't feeling very good during that video. My nose was bugging me, my allergies were just really bad. They're still bad right now, but they're not as bad. And to me, it felt like that video was rushed. I didn't like it. I skipped too much. I didn't like it. So, let's go ahead and get right into the next video. So, this part takes place at the beginning of the Land of Waves. Like the one I deleted, but, we're not going to talk about that. So, it takes place, before the Land of Waves, let me rephrase that. Naruto and his group, they're getting, their missions, and they're having the basic, Genin missions, D-rank missions, grocery shop, grocery shopping, cannot speak for some reason, finding lost animals, like, that poor cat, mundane stuff like that. And then, their last mission is, they're going to search for this cat that ends up clawing Naruto after, they find it. And, once they bring that poor thing in, you see why the cat ran away. I'd run away, too, if I could run. That's a big boy joke, because I'm a hefty boy. But, anyway. So, we get to that point to where they're all having, the conversation with the sage, or not the sage, good lord, with Hiruzen, the third Hokage. And, since Naruto is more respectful, he says, hey, Lord Third, I have a question. It's like, oh, Naruto, what is it, my boy? Ask away. And he says, these missions, if you think about it, don't we have at least a higher skill level than that's required for these missions we're getting? And, Kakashi, might say, instead of, smacking Naruto, he might say, Naruto, you gotta understand what's going on. And, he explains the basic thing about the missions that Genin get, which will be D and occasionally C. And then, Genin, Chunin, Jonin, and then Kage. He explains the whole structure for it to where Jonin get A and B ranks, Chunin get B and C, and, the Genin get the D rank missions. Let me rephrase that, good lord. They get the D rank missions, and occasionally, they might get a C, depending. And in some cases, they'll get an A, but you'll probably understand that. And Naruto gets it, but then Sakura brings up, I mean, if you really think about it, with our teamwork, I think we should at least be able to, all due respect, Lord Hokage, we should be allowed to at least do maybe a C rank mission. And Sasuke even agrees. It's like, I mean, yeah, our teamwork is pretty good if I say so myself. And I mean, just between Naruto and I, no offense, Sakura, he's not trying to be mean to her, but she isn't as good as Naruto and Sasuke when it comes to like fighting and stuff, but she's still a damn good ninja in her own right, thanks to a lot of some of the extra training she has done. First off, she has a Shadow Clone Jutsu. She can do the Fireball Jutsu thanks to her, watching Naruto and Sasuke do it so much that she ended up learning it. And I remember Kakashi did say, I think it was Kakashi, said she was adept at Wow. Genjutsu. I could not say that word. So, I'd say she is overall stronger than her canon counterpart. I would say not a drastic amount, but a pretty decent amount. I mean, Naruto and Sasuke at this point are leagues above their normal canon counterparts. With them, I mean, their skills that they have right now puts them at easy mid to high tuning, possibly low jonin, but that might be pushing it. And Hiruzen's thinking, and he goes, you know what? I'll make an exception for you three. You three, I understand where you're coming from, so let's go ahead and do that. Then the next C rank mission that comes up, you guys got it. So they're all happy about it, and they're telling him thank you. And they go to leave. Kakashi is kind of just like, really, guys? He tells them, I know y'all want to do this, but think about it. You haven't done too many missions as it is. And Kakashi's, he's making a good point. You lack the skill. But I digress. They end up, day goes by, and we'll say it's the next day, and they get their C rank mission. And Hiruzen calls them all in to speak to them. It's like, all right, well, I have your mission for you. And he introduces the bridge builder and says that, your C rank mission will be to be this man's bodyguard, to take him back to his village. And, the bridge builder is not exactly enthusiastic about that. He sees, the three of them. It's like, really? A bunch of kids? This is what I got? And he's all drunk and whatnot. It's like, I don't think they're up to the task, looking at Naruto, especially the stupid looking one over there. And Naruto's just, excuse you? It's like, if you only knew, buddy. And Naruto, he is more respectful, but he'll probably say, dude, it's like, you haven't seen anything that we can do. Is there really any reason to insult me? It's like, come on, man. And to be honest, you just seem like some drunk. Which, Naruto, he's saying that. And, Hiruzen's kind of face palming, like, don't, you can't insult him. Kakashi's like, hits Naruto in the back of the head. Not hard, but just like a light smack. Like, Naruto, this is the man we're supposed to be protecting. Don't insult him. But, Sasuke kind of mumbles under his breath. He's got a point. He just seems like some old drunk. And Sakura's just thinking to herself, like, what right do you have to talk to Naruto like that? Because, she does have that crush on Naruto. That's her Naruto. So, the mission begins. They exit the village. And, Naruto, he's, instead of being, oh, this is so great, and, like, freaking out like he originally did, I think he's more so just, it feels good being out of the village, He kind of looks around, takes in the scenery, probably standing near Sakura, if anything. And just, the three of them are taking in the scenery, just, it looks nice. We don't really get out of the village. And he's kind of looking at them, the bridge builder, Tazuna, is looking at them, and he's just, really? If they're amazed by this, come on. He's still drunk off his ass. So, of course, they all, they start walking. And with Naruto being smarter, he is a lot smarter. And I think Naruto was actually a sensor type ninja. I'm not too sure on that. But if anything, with this point, with him and Kurama being on pretty good terms, I would say they're not friends, but they're basically friends, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but... So, as they're all walking, Naruto sees the puddle of water. He looks at it, but he's not really, reacting, but he kind of bumps Sasuke a little bit, and he's like, Sasuke, did you see that? Sasuke is like, yeah, I saw that. Sakura probably missed it. She's still taking the scenery and probably gawking at Naruto a little bit. But, she's wondering, what are they talking about? She gets a little closer, and they say, hey, what's going on? And they tell her, that puddle. Well, and Sakura's, what about it? And they say, Sakura, when was the last time it's rained? That's got her thinking, yeah, y'all got a point. Should we tell Kakashi? He's like, nah, not, just hang on, just try to make it look like we didn't notice. That's what they're trying to say. So, they're walking around, And I would say that's when I can't remember what ninja they were. Were they Mist Ninja or were they Rain Ninja? That I can't really remember. But the two assassins do end up showing up, and when they try to get their chains wrap around Kakashi, yeah, that don't work. Naruto jumps in the way, intercepts one of the chains. Sasuke jumps on the other side, intercepts the other chain, and they pull the guys in forward. And Kakashi, I mean, he's a veteran when it comes to this stuff. Instantly jumps up to hit the two dudes, but they end up getting out of the way. Thinking, well, what the hell? How these kids notice know we were coming? And it doesn't matter. They try to fight. Naruto and Sasuke, we gotta protect the bridge builder. And Sakura too, my bad. All three of them do, shadow clone jutsu. Sakura has her two clones around the bridge builder. I'd say Sasuke has probably two clones around it too, but Naruto, just I guess to be like a little show off, does like 20 clones. And they're just like having two circles around the bridge builder to keep them safe, while the three of them go to help Kakashi with the fight. This fight, for the most part, is not going to go the assassin's way. Not one bit. So, they get ready to fight. They got like, I think it was like some poisoned knives, or was it poison on their chains? I can't really remember. But let's say one of them tries to rush in to get he'll get an easy kill on one of the kids. At that point, Sasuke just mud wall, and just has does the mud wall, and the dude's like, he's kind of surprised, like, okay, because I think that was actually not a Genin rank jutsu. I think it was a little bit. I think that was like a Chunin rank jutsu. I'm not too sure, but he does the mud wall. The guy's a little surprised, but he's not thinking much of it until he gets wrapped in a prison. It's like, what the hell was this? Naruto's using Sasuke's mud wall to make an earth prison around the dude. He's stuck. He ain't going nowhere, and Naruto's making that thing tight. This dude ain't going. At that point, Naruto's also having a Rasengan ready. He's looking for the next dude, and I say he ends up rushing at Sakura, thinking, okay, this will be an easy kill. Sakura, though, Sasuke runs beside her, and both of them do the hand signs. They just make, collaboration style giant fireball jutsu. Massive flame ends up engulfing the dude, but he's like, oh shit, and then ends up doing the substitution jutsu. So, of course, the log ends up showing up. In the meantime, though, Kakashi is actually watching just to see how they do against him. Kakashi isn't really doing much. Just wanted to throw that in there. So they get, the fireball jutsu. At that point, Sasuke yells, Naruto, now! And Naruto, seeing where the guy is at, chunks the kunai at him. So the dude's like, okay, so he saw me, but he catches the kunai. The hell is this supposed to do? And before he can even finish that sentence, Naruto appears right in front of him and just Rasengan! And hits him straight in the stomach. And this dude gets, for one, surprised, like, what the hell? And then just pushed back through a bunch of trees. I guess you can see a trend. Naruto has a habit of using the Rasengan on people's stomachs and knocking them into trees. And it's knocking them out for good measure. That dude's knocked out. The other dude's just, his jaw drops while he's in the earth prison of just like, what the hell are these kids? It's like, for one, from what they're aware of, Genin ain't even supposed to be able to do fire type, fire style jutsu. And then that kid just did two jutsu he's never even seen. Like, he teleported and knocked his buddy out with some kind of ball of chakra. And he yelled Rasengan. The dude's at a loss for words. It's like, well, shit. And, Kakashi goes over to the dude. He picks the passed out one up. He looks at the three of them and he says, good job, guys. But you might have went a little overboard on this one. But at least we can get something out of the other one. And that dude is just like, screw it, I'll talk. Because, just from seeing what those kids did, yeah. Either y'all are going to kill me or Gato's going to kill me. So it's like, to lose either way. At least with y'all, I might have a chance of living. So, pick your poison. So, he just straight up, before he can spill anything about Gato, though, I would say another, I'm pretty sure Zabuza might know Earth style. He's, he was Chunin level. He might have been close to Um, no, he was definitely Jonin level because Kakashi was a Jonin. My bad. So if anything, I would say he probably does at least know an Earth style jutsu. So we'll just say, for the sake of storytelling, he does, the Earth prison around the dude and just crushes him with Naruto's Earth prison. It's like, yeah, he ain't letting stuff get spilled. Everybody's kind of looking like, well, what the hell? That one's dead. This one's passed out. We can't really use them, so. And at that point, Kakashi looks at Tazuna and he says, okay, first off, that ain't good what happened to that one. This one's knocked out. There's some stuff you're not telling us. Why were there assassins out after you? This escalates the mission to a B at least. We need to go back to the village and report this to the Hokage. For one, you lied to us. Two, we might be overstepping our boundaries here. And which, the group, since Naruto didn't get stabbed, he can't make that whole speech of like, I swear on this wound and all the other bullcrap, because Naruto didn't get scared. I mean, Naruto is a lot braver in this too. More so, yeah, he had to deal with the fox for a bit. He did training with the sage. He's probably heard war stories from Jiraiya and Kakashi. So, that didn't scare him. That didn't scare him one bit. So, the whole speech doesn't happen. And, all three of them probably, even Sakura's like, I mean, maybe we should continue the mission anyway. And Kakashi's kind of surprised at that. And Tazuna, he does this whole, oh, I agree with the kids. Maybe they're not as dumb as they look. And plus, if y'all, make me go back by myself, I could end up dying. And then my poor grandson, he'll be wondering, where his granddad. He goes through that whole bull crap about, his grandson, whose name I forgot. I can't remember that kid's name. I cannot remember his mom's name, and I cannot remember his dad's name. And his dad's pretty important. So, my bad. And I can't look it up because I'm recording this on my phone. So, sorry. So after that, everybody kind of agrees to it. It's like, alright, fine. We'll go ahead and keep going. So as they're walking, Naruto, like he did in the original, senses, something's in those bushes. He throws the kunai, and of course it's still, the white rabbit. And Sakura's, Naruto, why would you do that? And Naruto runs over there hugging the bunny. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, little bunny. But, like I said, Naruto ain't no idiot. And I'm pretty sure, not Kakashi, obviously, but Sasuke notices something ain't right, too. Naruto's thinking in his head, this is a white rabbit. It's nowhere near winter. There's no snow. This rabbit was bred in captivity for a substitution jutsu. Something ain't right. So, Naruto, he knows, yeah, something ain't right. And judging from one of those dudes did get killed earlier, yeah, that other assassin's probably here. So, Naruto lets the bunny down, and he gets up, and he just straight up says, alright, do you think I'm stupid? Go ahead and come on out. We know you're there. And Zabuza's surprised, like, well, what? But, I mean, he probably thinking, I guess I shouldn't have gave myself away killing that one guy. But, either way, I'm gonna kill all of you, so there ain't no getting out of it. So, Zabuza does show up. And, he, of course, he knows Kakashi. Kakashi of the Sharingan. And then, Kakashi seeing, Zabuza, who, I think he was in the bingo book. But I can't remember if was he an S-class missing then? I'm not too sure. Leave that in the comments if he was. I would appreciate that. I mean, I could just look it up, but like I said, I'm using the phone to record. Now, Zabuza shows up, and the fight between him and Kakashi kind of goes the same. Kakashi, honestly, in his mind, he doesn't think Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura could handle it. He just tells them, protect the bridge builder, and if anything, leave. I'll handle this. And, Zabuza does his killing intent thing, and I would say it probably does get to Sasuke a little bit. It gets to Sakura. Naruto, though, like I said, he's dealt with the fox, so he can kind of, it's not as bad as the fox. That's for damn sure. And he's even able to get, snap Sasuke out of it. And tells him, Sasuke, you've dealt with worse than this. You know, thinking about his brother, and that is just instantly snaps him out of it. It's like, yeah, you're right. Not to mention, Sasuke has seen the fox, and their first meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did say the fox did not like Sasuke, just for the fact that he's a new Uchiha. And, the Uchiha are the ones who tried to subjugate him. I mean, Toby did subjugate him, but that's besides the point. So, they end up getting around the bridge builder, and they'll do some shadow clones again, protecting him. And the whole scenario with Kakashi, I would say, goes the same. Which, I guess you could say is more so story convenience. So, we're going to still go with some of the story parts for that, to where Kakashi does get trapped in the water prison. Now, here's where it gets a little different. Naruto and Sasuke still have their idea for the Demon Wind Shuriken, and then to hide it under, hide the clone Shuriken under it. So that whole thing still goes the same. So, Naruto and Sasuke working together. Sasuke pulls out the Demon Wind Shuriken, and he throws it at Zabuza. And the other one is still, under it. Which is the clone of Naruto. All the while, though, there is another Naruto clone. Like I said, they did make Naruto clones. I'd say one of them is behind the bridge builder, which this one isn't even a clone. This is the actual Naruto behind the bridge builder, making sure he can't be seen, and he's making a Rasengan. You already know where this is going. It's Naruto's trump card for the most part for enemies that don't know what he's doing. Which could eventually come back to bite him if someone knows what he's doing. Now, that whole thing goes the same. Zabuza jumps over the Shuriken, and then, the whole clone Shuriken still happens, and, they both miss. Naruto ends up appearing, and then he throws the kunai. So then, Zabuza ends up releasing the water prison, and, he's still in the air. Just then, that Shuriken ends up turning into, well, not Shuriken, that kunai, my bad, turns into another Naruto, who then throws another kunai. Zabuza can't dodge it, and he's thinking, okay, well, these are some smart kids. He's in the air, you can't dodge when you're in the air, and he decides to grab it. Yeah, same thing with the other assassins. Then Naruto ends up teleporting right in front of him, and then hits him with the Rasengan square in his stomach. Yeah, this hurts Zabuza a lot more. He has a lot more damage done to him now. It ain't knocking him out, though. And this also does wear out Naruto to the point where he's already done 3 Flying Thunder Gods today, 2 Rasengans. He's worn out. At that point, Naruto, I'd say Sasuke has to go and get Naruto because he's on the verge of passing out. I'd say the fox is probably keeping him, aware, just so Naruto can see the fight. So he's probably giving Naruto a little bit of chakra just to help him. Now, the whole thing with him and Kakashi goes the same, even though Zabuza is a lot more worn out. But he can still put up a fight. So, he activates his Sharingan, and then he ends up trapping Zabuza in that Genjutsu, to where Zabuza thinks Kakashi is seeing the future. So they end up doing the same hand signs, and they both do, the Water Dragon Jutsu. And it's the same stuff happens. Zabuza gets washed away, but he is damn near killed. Like I said, he's a lot more worn out. So of course, he ends up hitting the tree, and he tells Kakashi, "Can your Sharingan see the future?" And he goes, "Well, yes." And this is where you die. Just then, Haku shows up, ends up throwing, I think it was Senbone. Was that what it was? The 2 needles into Zabuza's neck, knocking him out. Well, quote unquote, killing Zabuza, which we all know, yeah, that didn't kill him. Haku thanks them for what they did, ends up taking the body. Naruto isn't so much pissed about it, but that could also be because of the fact that he is worn out. Like, he is tired. Now, Kakashi, though, he's really tired too. Probably still needs to be on bed rest, but he's not as tired. I mean, it's still negligible at best, just because Zabuza was more worn out before the Genjutsu happened. So, I mean, I guess I shouldn't have even brought it up. But that interaction happens, but Naruto, though, he's iffy on this. Like, something doesn't seem right to him. It's like, and I think right then and there, he actually brings up to Kakashi. It's like, hey, if he's from the Anbu, from what you've told me about the Anbu, shouldn't he have gotten rid of the body right then and there? Well, shit. Yeah, you're right. But they're all Naruto and Kakashi are too tired to really do anything. Sasuke and Sakura, not so much. But, I mean, you gotta drag Kakashi and Naruto. And if you really think about it, if Haku wanted to, he could have probably killed them all right then and there. But, since Haku isn't a bad person, he didn't. So, they end up heading to the bridge builder's house. They get on the boat, they take him there, and all that still happens the same. Kakashi end up needing to be put on bed rest. Naruto, like I said, he's worn out, so he might not even be training for the most part. Excuse me. I'm still gonna have all them do some training, but just probably to teach them a new jutsu for the most part, because they can do the tree walking just fine. I'd imagine with Naruto and Sasuke being able to do it, Sakura's probably like, oh, well, I want to make sure I keep up with them. Those are her friends. And probably a way to try to impress Naruto. I say she was already good at tree walking. So, there's really no need for them to do that. So, I would say that whole interaction will still happen to where they're all eating, and whatever that kid's name was, he's still having his little pity party about his dad dying. Which, yes, it sucks. But there comes a point in time where you do need to get over stuff like that. So, that all happens, and then his mom ends up telling, Tasuna, you can't, you shouldn't be bringing him up. You shouldn't be bringing that up around him. The kid runs off crying. The difference here, though, is Naruto has had a relatively better life. So his interaction with the kid isn't going to be the same. Instead, now Naruto did still go through 4 years of hell. Like literal hell. Probably worse than hell. But after that, he did have a pretty good life. Thanks to Kakashi and Jiraiya. And, Haruzen too a little bit. So, like, when he's talking to the kid, he tells him, do you really think there's other people out there that aren't suffering? You're not the only one who's going through hard times, kid. The kid's, what would you know about it? And he tells them, the first 4 years of my life were literal hell. But I kept fighting. I nearly died on numerous occasions. But I was able to get right back up and keep fighting. I got a friend, a very close friend, who lost more than you could ever imagine. A lot more than one person. And he still fights. What's your excuse? You just want people to pity you. Stand up on your own 2 feet and fight, instead of being a coward. And that's Naruto's interaction with them. And after that, you know, the group end up having, their training with Kakashi. Naruto, though, he's probably not training yet, but he probably will do a little bit of training afterwards. So it's starting off, Kakashi's probably showing for Sasuke. I would say he actually starts training him at least the basics on the Chidori. I know it might be a little early, but there's not much else he can teach him. Sakura, I think, since she's the whole Genjutsu specialist, he'll probably start teaching her. Cause I don't think she knew it yet, so he'll probably start teaching her the Cherry Blossom Genjutsu, where it's the whole cherry blossoms and stuff all around you. And I think that was one. I think they did that in the anime. So that'll be what those two are learning. And then for Naruto, I would say if anything, he's probably just once he's able to actually get up and start being active again, he's probably working on being able to use the Flying Thunder God more. I mean, like I said, he did do it 3 times, but he did combine that with a Rasengan twice. And that's going to take a lot out of him, not to mention doing the Shadow Clones. So, if anything, he's probably just working on increasing his chakra reserve. Sasuke would probably work on that a little bit too, but there's not so much a rivalry between the two, as it's more so just two best friends pushing each other to do better. Sorry if you hear that train in the background. But, yeah. And then, with Sakura being there too, she's probably pushing herself even harder to be a better ninja. And I'd say aside from her training for the Genjutsu, she might even ask Kakashi if she can learn the basics of. Let's see. I know her. I think her. Like I said, she had the fire style jutsu, so she, the fireball jutsu. I'm not sure what her other nature is, but I'll go ahead and say Earth. So she might ask Kakashi if she can also start learning the Mud Wall, just to help out. Because, I mean, 2 wielders of the Mud Wall, I mean, the more the merrier if you think about it. That, and then she could probably start working on, I think, her Crater Fist. I don't know if that was really an Earth style jutsu, though, but, so we'll just say the Mud Wall. Now, in the meantime, Naruto's, still pushing himself like he did originally, and he's probably passed out somewhere in the forest. Sasuke's going to hunt him down, and that's when Naruto does meet Haku. So their interaction, it goes mostly the same. Haku wakes him up and saying, "Hey, you'll catch a cold if you sleep out here." Naruto's seeing Haku, and he's just, "Wow, you are beautiful." I would say Naruto has more confidence in himself, so he probably just straight out say it without realizing he said it out loud. And he's like, "Wow, you are beautiful," and then realizing what he said, and he's like, Anyway, Haku probably kind of laughs about it. He was like, "Well, we'll take the compliment." So, "Thank you." And they end up having that talk about what's precious to them. And Haku describes, he doesn't say Zabuza's name outright, but he describes, his interactions with Zabuza, the person who gave him meaning, and his goal is to, for the most part, serve them. Which is pretty bad if you think about it, but, I mean, Haku really did care about Zabuza. And then and then Haku ends up saying, I mean, what, do you have anybody that's precious to you? Naruto kind of blushes, and he actually says, "Well, yeah, I mean, I got my friend Sakura." And like I say, he's blushing with that, and Haku's like, "Oh, I mean, is that a girlfriend?" And Naruto's, I mean, oh, and he will say, hopefully one day. And then he says, not only her, but then, I mean, there's my big brother, there's my dad, and then there's my best friend Sasuke. It's like, they're all precious to me. And Haku says, "So do you fight for them?" At that point, though, Naruto, no. I mean, the reason I fight is to create a better world. And then he actually explains, I hope to be a ninja that can, bring peace to the world, so that way we don't have to fight. I think that kind of you know, it kind of says something to Haku. So whereas, Haku is just, wow. At that point, I think Haku would even say, honestly, I think you could do it. I just have a hunch that, you could be the person that can do that. And, Naruto, he laughing, is like, well, thanks, sis. Haku ends up, leaving, and then says, oh, by the way, I'm a boy. And Naruto is just, what? But, he's cuter than Sakura. He thinks that in his mind. And, Sasuke ends up showing up. It's like, hey. And he passes Haku. Nothing really comes of that. But he ends up getting to Naruto. I was like, hey, loser. Come on, man. I mean, it's time to eat. You've been out here all night. Did you really fall asleep? Naruto was laughing about it. And they end up heading back together. And everything's relatively good for now. Until we end up getting to the next Zabuza fight. But we'll get to that on the next part. So, thank you guys for watching. This was part 10, remade, by the way, of What If Naruto Was Raised by the Sage of Six Paths. Thanks for watching.